Watercolor is a living medium. When you drop pigment onto wet paper, watch how it moves. It bleeds and blends in completely unpredictable ways. Painting watercolor florals looks effortless when finished, but getting there often feels frustrating. We are going to deconstruct this process. By following a strict set of steps, we can turn that unpredictability into a structured, manageable method. First, gather your tools. You need a large round brush for washes, a small round brush for details, a mechanical pencil, and a kneaded eraser. You must also use a specific type of surface. This requires 140-pound hot press watercolor paper. The smooth hot press finish is necessary to capture delicate petal details without the texture getting in the way. These specific supplies are your foundation. If you use the wrong paper or brushes, your paint will pool unevenly, and your colors will turn muddy before you even begin. Set up your workstation by taping down all 4 corners of your paper to a board. Keep your palette and water bucket close by. A slight angle on your easel will help the water flow naturally downward. Step 1 is your contour drawing. Use your mechanical pencil to map out the petal shapes. Because watercolor is transparent, heavy graphite will permanently show through your final painting. Keep your lines incredibly light. If your sketch gets too dark, take your kneaded eraser and gently tap the surface. Lift away the excess graphite until the outline is barely visible. Next, prepare your palette. We are limiting our colors to maintain harmony. You will need a mix for the petals, plus dark anchor pigments like sepia and Payne's gray for the deep shadows. Create a wet pool of color, ranging from pure quinacridone red to Indian yellow. Let these tones mingle on the palette, so you have quick access to pinks, oranges, and pale yellows. With a spotless sketch and your colors already mixed, you remove the guesswork. You can focus entirely on brush control and timing. Load your large round brush and lay down a light wash of your pink and yellow mix, filling one petal at a time. As you paint, leave small gaps of unpainted, dry paper. In watercolor, the white of the page serves as your brightest highlight. Here is where most floral paintings fail. If you try to paint a second petal right next to one that is still wet, you lose control of the pigment. When 2 wet edges touch, the water forces the pigments to bleed together. Your clean shapes cancel each other out, and you end up with a muddy, formless blob. To prevent this, jump around the flower. Paint one section, then move to a completely non-adjacent petal on the opposite side. This forces the first section to dry. Try to nail your shape in 1 or 2 passes. Lay down your water and pigment, and then physically walk away. Fussing with the paint while it dries destroys its natural transparency. Knowing exactly when to stop painting requires discipline. Letting the paper dry completely between passes is the mechanism that keeps your colors crisp and your petals luminous. Once that first layer is completely dry, switch to your smaller detail brush. Use thicker paint with less water to build up your midtones. To establish depth, grab your darkest tones, sepia or Payne's gray. Drop this pigment exclusively into the deep center of the flower and at the tight bases where the petals overlap. If these new shadow lines look too harsh, rinse your brush, wipe it slightly dry, and use that damp tip to gently soften and blend the edges. Now frame the rose with foliage. Mix a pool of azo green and Prussian blue. Apply the paint to the leaves wet into wet. Avoid overmixing on your palette. Instead, let the green and blue pigments merge naturally, directly on the paper. While the leaf is still wet, drop in small touches of Indian yellow or ultramarine blue. This variation breaks up the solid green, keeping the leaves from looking flat and artificial. You have now placed dark shadow anchors right next to the bright white highlights you protected earlier. That extreme contrast creates the optical illusion of a 3-dimensional rose popping off the page. Step back and look at the completed painting. Notice how the eye is drawn straight to the deep core, while the crisp outer edges hold their shape. By enforcing dry time, guarding your white space, and committing to deep shadows, you successfully force the flower to bloom outward. If you have a few unexpected bleeds or messy edges on your first try, that is completely normal. The medium is supposed to be unpredictable. Do not view those bleeds as artistic failures. They are specific data points. They show you exactly where you used too much water or painted too soon, so you can adjust your timing for the next piece. Mastering watercolor florals is not about forcing perfect control over every single drop of pigment. It is about understanding the boundaries and then letting the medium do the work to bring the page to life.